Hello guys, welcome to Africa Gossip Arena. So guys, have you ever wondered why the Nigeria government banned the teaching of history in Nigeria schools? Or has it ever occurred to you that history that was actually banned in Nigeria schools not to be taught have actually saved a lot of life today in this country? If you are confused or being curious about this, let me explain. So guys, Chief Dr. Odia Ofeimun, who is a renowned poet, essayist and an activist, have this time come out to blast President Ahmed Bola Tinubu and the Nigeria government for not allowing history to be taught in Nigeria schools. Guys, Chief Dr. Odia Ofeimun was one of the journalists who actually documented the Biafra War from 1967 to 1970s. And due to the fact that Mr. Odia Ofeimun knows a lot of Nigeria hidden secrets about why history cannot be taught in Nigeria school, he has told President Ahmed Bola Tinubu that he should allow history to be taught so that the young generation will know the hidden secrets about Nigeria and why the Nigeria government actually hates the Igbo tribe of the country. And this has also sparked a lot of reaction right now on social media. Due to the fact that a lot of people have also come out to speak that that is one of the reasons that Nnamdi Kanu is still in detention, that actually the Nigeria government hates the Igbo tribe of Nigeria. Allegedly. Anyway, let me leave you to watch this video to the end to see what Mr. Odia actually said about Nigeria hidden secrets and why history cannot be taught in our schools. And guys, don't forget that subscription to this channel is actually free. So if this is your first time of seeing this channel, please kindly do where to hit on the like button, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on your notification bell. Also do well guys to share this video to more than 20 persons in different social media platforms.
If we want to teach the Biafra story in schools, I tell you, one of the reasons they stopped teaching history was that they couldn't tell our story. And now they can't tell the Biafra story. And we cannot tell the story of the coups properly. Now, a country with so many secrets that it cannot divulge cannot write history. It is wrong to talk about ignoring the Biafra story. But the injustices and the oppression that led to Biafra are still very much present and with us. You can't escape Biafra. And in fact, the reason we do need to continuously exhume the ghost of Biafra is that the ethnic principles on the basis of which we had to go to war are all pervasive in the Nigerian society of today. And our leaders do not appear to know what to do about them. They start from the wrong premises. Some want to eliminate ethnic groups. It is not possible to eliminate ethnic groups. That old statement by Amadou Bello in reply to Zik. Zik said, let's forget our differences. Amadou Bello said, no, let's understand them. When you do understand them, you will discover that it is possible for those who are supposedly radically opposed to themselves today, it is possible for them to sit at the same table and discuss virtually every problem.
Igbos are incredible storytellers, but for some reason we have not told our story. And I think it is important we begin to tell our stories, we begin to share our heritage and our culture. We need to understand the value of our heritage and our culture, that it is enormous. I remember perhaps 6 years ago, I was in New York at Rock Nation, that's Jay-Z's company, and I'm standing in the foyer and I'm looking at this piece of art, which basically to me looks like an Abogoma masquerade. It was by a Black American artist called Nick Cave. And I'm asking, one of the directors, I said, what's that piece? And he said, oh, just Jay's piece. It's $400,000. I'm like, wow. I bet the artist doesn't even know that this is basically Igbo culture and it's a spirit maiden masquerade and it has specific connotation. But he has translated the culture and therefore he has monetized it. And this is part of the thing that we need to learn how to do. We must be able to engage our culture, engage our heritage. Our ingenuity and our talent and our knowledge is well known. And that is one of the reasons why I'm very, very focused and very interested in indigenous intellectualism, because we have been, especially the Igbos, we have been controlling metal ore and iron ore for millennia. We have had control of of the environment, the Orca blacksmiths, the in Legia in Nsukka, the ancient iron ore deposits that show what has been done and what has been created by our people. And if you bring it forward, through the difficult days of the Civil War and the Biafran Technical Directorate, you have to think about that innovation in terms of refining of petroleum and gas and diesel to enable whatever they had to run and operate. And those people were then converted and put into Proda and IMT and Nsukka and empaneled to give the opportunity to move. And if you look at that innovation and that spirit, it's the same thing that drives Nnewi and Onitsha and Aba. Because the reality of it is, I look at it from here, is that these places have grown in spite of governments. I mean, it's not, and I'm not pointing fingers at federal government or state government, but it does seem that to a large extent, enterprise in the East has grown independent of government. And this is something that we must change and something that we must look at closely. Because if we think about it strategically, if we had a situation where Enugu, which has maybe 10, 15 tertiary institutions around it within Nsukka, are really the knowledge capital of the East. And Nnewi and Aba, Nnewi and Onitsha and Aba are like, Aba is more like maybe merchandise and, the sort of apparel, footwear, all those sort of things. Nnewi is industrial, automobile, manufacturing plants. And Onitsha, of course, again, industrial with the distribution. So these places are quite close together and they represent our hard power. If we are organized and focused, those markets, specifically Onitsha, if we can focus on getting our markets and our chambers of commerce to connect together, educate our people on IP and protection of rights, so that people are comfortable to engage them and license product to them to manufacture, then we will increase the pie. Because piracy in Nigeria does not just affect the music industry or Nollywood. Piracy affects over 200 different industries. Cosmetics, hair, all sorts of things are being pirated in our country. And if we control the markets, then we must be able to put some leverage onto these markets to control that process and that situation. Because what we want to see is a situation where Aba should be actually processing leather from Kano to make the most incredible leather goods in the world to export at a premium price. We have to connect our markets. Ibadan should be connected. We need to connect and enable all these influencers and celebrities who are in Lagos. Burna Boy should be able to order 1 million t-shirts from Aba and be sure that not just are they going to make it at the right quality, but if they sell the t-shirts, he's going to get his royalty. And this is the thing, we must build trust between ourselves, between other people to build our markets, and we must be discoverable, which means we must tell our story better.
You said the southeast geopolitical zone of Nigeria has arguably become the worst region since the independence of Nigeria. How did you arrive at that conclusion?
Data does not lie. If you look at the current data being released by the NBS, for whatever metrics you're using, the southeast of Nigeria is not doing very well compared with other regions, particularly given the security challenges that we face. Currently, the region is competing with the northeastern zones in the number of out of school children. The economic indicators which I mentioned in terms of health, and somebody in the audience mentioned that Kwashiorkor, which was last seen shortly after the war in 1970-71, has again been seen in Mbise, in Imo State. It is disheartening.
In Igbo land?
In Igbo lands. It is disheartening that it has gotten to the stage where a disease that was once eradicated has resurfaced. Whatever measure you want to use, the southeast is not faring better. It's not faring very well.
You said the developmental efforts in the zone has been so ineffective that the whole zone is in shambles.
I tried to put it very lightly. If you look at data again, economic growth, even though economic growth has slowed all over Nigeria, it's worse in the southeast. Why wouldn't it be? How many days a week do you work in the southeast? Many times folks are sitting at home. Productive hours. Many times it goes on for days unending. You have heavy security presence all over the southeast. And when you have such situation, what happens? Businesses will run. People are moving their businesses out of the southeast. Infrastructure is collapsing. So data is stubborn, it's there. There's nothing you can do about it.
You said in addition to being led by a set of elites that are ready to sacrifice the people of the region for their own personal ambitions.
I am, why I do not want to be hasty in my generalization. I want to say that leadership is a continuum. That what is currently going on in the southeast didn't just happen. It took years of deprivation for the symptoms to now become very evident. Now, some people will argue that there have been some sparks of brilliance with some, in some states. Whether you talk about the positive, moves being made in a state like Abia State or in Enugu State. But I want to argue that the reason why the people celebrate some of these gains, which for me, really in the 21st century should not really be gains. How do you begin to celebrate the fact that you're having street lights now? Street lights? Or the fact that, a road that's been abandoned for many years is now being paved? Or the fact that, debt that's accumulated for over 20-30 years has now been cleared? What kind of celebration is that when the metrics of developments in other climes have gone beyond that to things that are not even intangible, to AI, for example, artificial intelligence, for example, and all that. We are celebrating the clearing of debts. So I said that, but these leaders, some of whom are friends of mine, they inherited these several years of rot, and so that's why I was alluding to the fact that the leadership class in the zone have not been. Have not lived above board, to say the least.
But you see the image of the Igbo man as a rich man, as a hustler, that Igbo man that is everywhere, doing business, making money. And yet you are talking about the Igbo man's region as competing with war-torn zones like the Northeast.
Does that not tell you much that when the Igbo man lives in zone, he thrives? That he's thriving everywhere. He's thriving in Lagos, he's thriving in Kano, he's thriving everywhere. But it's not as much as he's thriving in his own home state. Maybe that will tell you that if the Igbo man finds a conducive environment with the requisite security, safety, that he will do better. And that speaks to the security situation in the southeast.
I was in Ariaria recently, I saw Igbo men doing well.
They would have done better than you have seen them if they don't have to contend with over 100, stop and search, what you call stop and search security posts all over the states. those stop and search hinder free flow of the free movement, and if when you hinder movement, it's the time when goods and services is supposed to get to the markets is delayed. Sometimes even those who want to come to patronize you from other states don't want to come because they are either afraid of the stop and search or the security post, or even afraid of the so-called unknown gunmen.
Brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell you one thing, that you must be very focused and we must be very resilient to what we are fighting for. Our freedom is not negotiable. It is either we get this freedom or we all perish in the cause of fighting for our freedom. Freedom is not negotiated. Freedom is being gotten by force. Like your president will always say, grab it, snatch it, run with it. And that is what we are here to do. The global index of terrorism in the world is out, 2024. Nigeria ranks to be the third most worst country on global index of terrorism. Now, as well, the most corrupt president in the world came out as well in 2024. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is number 3rd, while Kenyan President Ruto is the 2nd. This has confirmed that Biafrans are heading home. We can no longer be in a terrorist nation. We cannot be called terrorists under the administration of Tinubu. Tinubu came through the back door as a president. You cannot steal my vehicle, paint it, after painting it and, fixing the vehicle to your standard and brings it to me and expect me to have a handshake with you. You still remain a thief before me. You still remain a criminal before every other person. So this is who Tinubu is. Tinubu is a thief, he's a criminal, he's a terrorist, and Tinubu is a drug lord. Yes, he is. And I don't have any regret saying this. This is who he is, and this is who he is. Now, the Chief of Army Staff, General Christopher Musa, I see him as a very intelligent man. He is indeed. But what he's fighting is bigger than him. What this man is fighting is actually bigger than him. One is this: they will use you, and after using you, they will dump you. Be careful on how you approach the matters of Biafra. Remove your soldiers from our land. Our land is now a sovereignty. Biafran nation is a sovereignty. Now, let me tell you one thing that you people don't know, Biafrans. I didn't want to say this before. Do you know that Tinubu and his cohort brought a petition against our Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Eba? And when they were being pressurized to bring up to bring up evidence to come and prove their case in Finland, they removed terrorism and they said it's cyber incitement. And when that cyber incitement was looked into and they said, okay, bring evidence, they said they are going to produce evidence in 5 months' time. That is why they can sit comfortably in Nigeria and tell you that Epa's trial will start in March or in May, whichever time they called it, because that time frame was what they gave. They don't have any evidence to provide. And as we speak today, most of the band that they granted on EPA or they gave to EPA has been lifted. Most of them has been lifted. Most of the band has been lifted. Most, not all, until the investigation is over. So Musa should be careful, because what you are fighting is bigger than you. I saw you the other day on, what is it called, Agizero, when they were asking you if your military is corrupt. You said no, your military is not corrupt. And they said, okay, the genocide that is happening in Nigeria, what can you tell about it? If the ICC or the UN calls you to come and defend your country, can you come? You said yes, but you people fail to come to Finland, which means what you are doing, you don't even understand what you are doing. Nigeria is a very corrupt country, a worst country as we speak. It is better you resign quietly and resign with your dignity and your honor, so that your respect will be there. If not, they will rubbish you. I know what I'm saying. Nigeria is not a country that you can fight for. Nigeria has been overrun with terrorist people. Immediately Buhari came into power, Buhari made that place ungovernable. Buhari made all the military to be overrun with terrorist individuals. That's why you can see them arrest terrorists, arrest Boko Haram, put them in prison. The next morning, they will bring them out. They will say they are repented terrorists and give them firearms, and they will go to the southeast. That is the problem you, General Christopher Musa, is facing. Because, truth be told, I went through your profiles, and I saw maybe you don't even know what is happening in Nigeria. Mr. General Christopher Musa, please advise this criminal president, this thief that calls himself a president, Tinubu, to remove his soldiers from our land. I was very surprised when Tinubu was going to Enugu State that the whole roadblocks was removed. I don't know that that could happen. So tell him that those roadblocks that was removed should not return back there. And that is our plead. We are pleading now that it should not stay there again, because the Anambra State governor said he's leaving 10 million bounty on Biafran soldiers. Though I heard that, and I don't know if that is true, but from what we are seeing, from what I am seeing, if that is true, then Soludo should be very careful. Soludo should be very careful. There are criminals attacking and fighting our brothers and killing our brothers. You didn't put bounty on them. You are putting bounty, 10 million naira bounty on indigenous people of Biafran soldiers. You are not serious. And we are warning you, please, desist from it. If this continues, Soludo has us to contend with. Thank you.
Terrorism has ranked Nigeria as the third most terrorized country in the world and number one in Africa.